Speaking of Arsenal, there's big talk about the Mohamed Kudus deal. Chelsea focusing, sort of honing in on that to kind of get it done and over the line. There's talk of Arsenal trying to also land him and hijack it. But the report from Miguel Delaney today is that Chelsea are just going to blow Arsenal out the water financially. They're just going to pay so much money, offer such good wages that Arsenal can't compete. But first of all, on the player, like what do you make of Mohamed Kudus?
Good player, yeah. He seems, a good player for Ajax and that. Got something about him. He'd be a good addition to the Premier League. I don't know. Do Arsenal need him? Do you know what I mean? Do Arsenal need him? Chelsea, we just don't know what's going on there. They're just sort of gathering players. But I don't know. I think Arsenal are going to sign somebody else. I've just got a feeling. But are they missing a striker? Is Jesus going to do it for him? Kai Havertz, is he going to do it? Eddie Nketiah? Do they keep Balogun? Give him a run? I don't know. But I don't know. Kudus, I mean, it's sometimes with the Dutch league as well. You look at players and they look outstanding over there. When they come to the Premier League, they're not quite at it. So it's always a gamble. But I don't know. Chelsea's been quiet, haven't they, for a couple of weeks now? They must have something brewing.
They have to have something brewing, Chelsea, because their own manager has come out and now said he's a bit worried about the experience in his team going into next year. Caicedo isn't done. They're not really signed Jackson, who looks. I've watched some of their preseason, and he looks decent, but it's not enough in terms of. Well, I still think they'll improve next season. If they just keep this squad now, they'll get better. But they need to bring some players in, and the Premier League kicks off, bruv, in 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks, and it starts, and we all know how important a good start is. And my worry for what's the word I'm looking for? My worry for Chelsea is if they start poorly, all the players, including the young ones that were there last year, it's if that confidence gets damaged again. Any confidence they build up in preseason could be knocked by a slow start to the season. And the fact their manager is also now saying that they are, he's concerned about the lack of experience. That's why I look at Mohamed Kudus. I think he's brilliant. I think he's got such a high ceiling. They're also linked to Michael Elise, the same as City. Again, I think he's really talented. But where's the experience? Sterling doesn't look very good to me anymore. He looks really... I thought he was going to do really well at Chelsea. He just looks a shadow of himself. Silva's quite old. Chilwell and Reece James are their next most experienced players. They spend a lot of time out injured. Where's the experience? Where's the older players? Where are the leaders in this Chelsea team to help them through adversity? That would be my concern as a Chelsea fan. They started this window off so fast, so quick, so well with getting rid of people. The fact that they haven't, there's no marquee signing, there's no experience. So it'd be a worry for me. And what's hard about it is when you look at Elise and Kudus as individual players and signings, it's brilliant. But I don't see how they're going to gel this all together just yet. And maybe I'm being harsh. But I don't know. What do you reckon? It's
just a wait and see season for a minute. Last season was bad. It was a mismatch all over the pitch. Players didn't want to be there. Even Kovacic said this week in the press conference, I can't believe how good the City players got on with each other. So for me, that's a bit of a red flag for Chelsea and makes it sound like there wasn't that harmony in the squad. New manager, new ideas. They've got the talent. The squad on paper, when you write it down, is a fantastic squad. A lot of individual players there. It's just whether Poch can get them ticking over. I think after the season they've had last year, anything improving on that is a bonus for them. I don't think they're going to be challenging for the title. I think top 4 is a realistic target for them. We'll just wait and see. We just got to wait and see how it pans out at Chelsea. That it is what it is. I'm sure the Chelsea fans are just hoping they don't have a season like last year and they can improve on it.
Yeah, no doubt. And I know some Chelsea fans will see it as I'm shitting on their club. I'm really not, because I've been impressed with a lot of things that you've done, but I'm talking about the immediate impact and improvement. And I think that no way, I do not believe they're coming 12th again. I think they'll be well in the top half. I think they'll be in the top 6 conversation. But it's just, this is Chelsea, and they've spent £600-700 million. They've become, over the last 20 years, one of the biggest football institutions in world football. And just being back in the top 6 is still a disappointing season. It's an improvement, but still a disappointing season. And they've got some really talented players in there with Enzo and Nkunku. I still think there's a player in Mahalo Mudryk. I watched him against Brighton the other day, and he looked quicker and stronger and sharper. And maybe if all these guys click and all these guys start performing, then there'll be no issues there. In terms of Arsenal, when it comes to this deal, it's an interesting one, because Arsenal and Chelsea seem to be interlinked with quite a lot of players. They're both linked with Lavio. It looks like he's going to Liverpool. Both linked with Kudus. Both now linked with Elise. When you look at Arsenal, how much more do you think they need ahead of the season to try and close that gap on you?
I think they've got the ability to do it. I think the players they've got are good players, and you look at the last season, they wasn't far off it. So it's not. I think Rice makes him a better player. I don't think Havertz does. I think Rice is an improvement. I think, I get that signing. I think Timber is better. I think last season what you got is, going into the business end of the season when he picked up some injuries, you've got Rob Holding playing, you've got Kiwior playing. They're not good enough, because what people need to understand is you can start the season fast and you can beat these teams. A lot of teams earlier in the season are not the same team at the end of the season. At the end of the season, in the last 12 games, when teams are fighting for relegation, Europe, new contracts, livelihoods are on the line, you're getting teams like Brighton and Southampton and West Ham turning up and getting points off you. But early in the season, you're rolling them over. So it's a mentality issue. I just think they've got to add a bit of experience. Zinchenko, Jesus have got the experience from City. You've seen how much they impacted the Arsenal team early in it. But near the end of the season, when a few of them got injured and they couldn't quite get Arsenal going, that's where they fell down. So I think Arteta knows that. I think he knows what he needs. I think towards the business end of the season, he needs players that are going to stand up and be counted and not panic. Like Jesus said, they got nervous. You can't have nervous players in a title race, because Manchester City aren't nervous. Manchester City are getting the job done. They thought that if they went out of every competition, then that would be an advantage. It was a disadvantage. So when they lost the game, they had 5-6 days to think about it, dwell on it, overtrain on it. Manchester City were playing every 2-3 days in competitions, keeping fit, keeping ticking over, winning games, getting momentum. And that's what I believe won us the league. And with Arsenal, that's why I think they fell. But Timber's a good signing. Rice is a good signing. Havertz, I'm unsure. And I think if they can get another striker in, if they can sell some Balogun, bring some money and get another striker in, maybe another midfield player. But, you forget they got Jorginho there. They signed him in January. He didn't quite get them over the line. I thought he was a player that could come in, steady the ship late in games, to keep the ball ticking over and get Arsenal the wins. But he didn't really do it for me. I think the January transfer window for Arsenal was a bit panicky, in my opinion. And we'll see. This is what I mean. So the talk is cheap. You can have the best transfer window in the world and win nothing. It happens all the time. You look at the teams. United finished second under Solskjaer. They signed Varane, Ronaldo, Sancho. Any team signs Varane, Ronaldo, Sancho after finishing second, you're thinking in your head, they're going to win the league. And you went backwards. So we can only judge it as speculation. We can look at it and think, they've had a good window. But it comes down to the games. It comes down to the league. It comes down to lots and lots of things. And I'm just can't wait for it to get going now.
Yeah, I'm the same. Listen, I love the transfer window and everything else, but when the games come back, we start getting some of our answers. It obviously changes the discourse of what we speak about. And look, it's a super chat here, actually, back to Chelsea, that I don't want to ignore. It says, Terry, why do you always forget that Gusto and Nkunku, Jackson and Colwell are all new players into the squad? We have one game a week, don't need a big squad. So again, you're not listening to what it is that I'm saying. I know you've got new players, and I mentioned some of them. And I think you've got a lot of talented players. They're all very young. And I think you need a bit more experience. Your own manager, DJ, has come out and said that he is worried about the lack. And in fact, I'll get you his exact quote, just so you don't think I'm being disingenuous. And I'm talking about you having the very best season possible, not just improving. And what is it he said here? Let me find this from earlier on today, because I quote tweeted it. Maurizio Pochettino, via Tom Roddy, he's a very credible Chelsea journalist has said that Mauricio Pochettino is growing increasingly concerned with the lack of experience in the squad and slow progression of signings. So the fact that Chelsea journalists are reporting this on behalf of Fabrizio, on behalf of Poch, it just echoes my concerns. Now, I know what everybody wants is they want everyone that sits on YouTube to say, I think you're going to be amazing. And I think you're going to improve. But I think you've got to add a bit more to that because you'll still go for adversity. And it isn't just one game a week. You're in the League Cup and in the FA Cup, and you're going to want to try and progress within that. And you will have some weeks where you play 2 games. Plus, most professionals say they prefer 2 games a week. It's easier to stay fresh and to stay fit. So, look, there's many caveats to that, but I'm not disrespecting you. I'm not ignoring what has come into your club. I'm stating I think you need to get back in the Champions League. I think you need to add some more experience to that team. So let's see what happens with it.